All right, here we are. Day 1 with Scarlett's halter training. This is Stewie. He's been keeping her company. Since the weather's been nice, she's been staying outside in this round pen. Most of the winter, she's just been hanging out, getting used to me going in and being around her. So we're going to start off the day by just seeing what she remembers. I have been in feeding her and cleaning her pen, and she was in a stall for a lot of the winter because our weather was so bad. I'm starting off super simple, just getting her to acknowledge that I'm in her pen and building her curiosity a little bit. She started shedding, so she's super itchy. And all I'm looking for her to do is kind of follow me around and stay focused on me. This is something that she couldn't even do when I first got her. She was so scared that she would just run circles around the outside of the round pen. So most of what we've been doing all winter is just getting her calm enough to let me into her space. She's kind of a little bit bored with what I'm doing right now, which is okay. I'd rather her be bored than super scared and trying to run away or jump over the panels, which is what she was like in the beginning. I've got a tarp hanging on the panels, which she's kind of a little bit afraid to go near, so I'm just going to start with some scratches on her. She's pretty interested in scratches these days, so it's a little bit of motivation to help her stay engaged with what I'm doing. And here I'm just going up and trying to give her scratches on both sides. She was really not happy about me being on her left side for most of the winter, so we're still working on it, but she's getting a lot better. I'm just gonna give her a little bit of time to investigate me. Since she was so scared in the beginning, this is totally fine. Since she is starting to get a little bit bored, we're gonna move on to the next thing. So I'm just gonna start approaching her at a normal speed. In case you're curious, this is sped up 300%. So again, I'm gonna let her take breaks when she needs it. If she needs an extra second to investigate what's going on, I'm gonna give it to her. She's got some hair stuck on her face that I was trying to get off, but she wasn't into me helping her. So I'm just gonna go back to scratching her on both sides. And this was her bad side. She doesn't like seeing me out of this eye. So we've been working on it. And then I'm just gonna go back to the other side. Here are some scratches. She can definitely relax more on this side. I did look and see that on YouTube there aren't too many videos on halter training horses in this way. Most of them just have someone roping the horse and then teaching it to give to pressure that way. I like this way better because you can build a relationship first and you can get them used to a lot of things before you even get a halter on them. I found when you do it this way, there's less of a chance of them getting hurt, especially if they're really, really wild and have a low fear threshold. So she's starting to get a little bored again. Her attention is kind of drifting to the horses turned out next to her, so I'm going to go ahead and finish up and then we're going to move on to the next thing. So she's seen this stick with a string on it before. I used it when I very first got her to kind of calm her down and accept a little bit of touch. But as you can see, she's pretty flighty about it today. I'm just going to stay pretty calm and try and get her to stand in one spot. This is one of the reasons that I like to have a buddy horse with these real scared ones. She's not super confident by herself, but next to Stu, she is a little bit braver. So I'm just going to keep approaching her and retreating. There she goes. And you can see she's a little bit more fearful than she was earlier, and that's just because we haven't done this very much. She's not running around the pen wild, but she's still not very confident. And you can see there she's kind of like swishing her tail, which I notice she'll do when she finally realizes what I'm asking her, but she's not necessarily very happy about it or confident in it. And these stick scratches are just a stepping stone for the next thing, so I'm gonna go ahead and give her a few scratches and then move on. At this point, I hadn't really decided what I was gonna do next. I have this cotton rope that I like to use. It's different than the lariat rope that you see a lot of people using, where they just throw the rope and pull them around. This is just one long piece. And I'm just going back and forth and showing her the rope and seeing how she's gonna be about it. She has had this rope on before as a neck rope, but there's two different ways that I like to get it on. One is just slipping it over their neck, which I'm not sure that she's gonna let me do today. And the other is tossing it over her. She is a lot calmer than when I first got her, so I might end up tossing it today instead of slipping it over her neck, which is a little bit more scary, but I think she can handle it. This horse has had a lot of trouble with me touching her with other objects like a halter or a rope. And even though she hasn't done anything crazy in this video, she was quite reactive when I very first got her. These panels that are set up, she did jump over a couple times, and that was just her jumping over them with me on the outside of the big round pen. So she was very reactive. And at this point, I still haven't decided if I'm going to throw the rope on her or try and slip it over her. So I just attached it to this stick just to get a little closer, and I was thinking that I might loop it over her neck, but she's not really into it. And she has seen this before. But as we go around here, she's kind of getting more flighty and scared. So at this point, I am deciding that maybe this isn't the right way to go today. I'm going to continue to approach her with this stick with the rope attached until she calms down, but then after that, I'm probably going to switch it up. And something about this setup she really wasn't feeling today, so she was getting more and more scared, which is not what I wanted. So I'm just going to give her a little bit of time and do something pretty easy. Just scratch her on her withers, and you can see Stewie's actually chewing on her right now, which definitely helped calm her down. Good boy, Stewie. If you guys watched the very first video I put out with Scarlett, I had her with another horse, a much older horse, first. As she became more confident, Stewie was just a better fit. He's super calm. He doesn't really get upset by anything, and they're the same size, even though Stewie is 4 and right now Scarlett is, I guess she would be 10 months old. And at this point I decided that she really wasn't relaxing with this stick string situation, so I'm gonna go ahead and toss it onto her instead. I give her one last chance, but her fear is really escalating and I don't really want that to happen, so we're gonna move on and try something else. And I actually gave her a little break, probably about 15 minutes. I went and I cleaned a few stalls and then came back. And I just have this rope coiled up and I want her to stand still while I toss this on her, ideally. So I'm just gonna stay calm and try again, and hopefully I'll get it where I need it. And I have done this before with her. This winter, I practiced tossing the rope close to her, in front of her, behind her. So this isn't anything new. She is pretty excited about it though. And this round pen is pretty safe, but I don't want her so fearful that she thinks about jumping out or running into the side of the panels. So I let go of the rope when she started getting it twisted around herself because I didn't want it to bind up. And I just let her move around the round pen until she felt comfortable enough to stop. And I'm gonna let her rest here for a little bit. And Stewie's not being super helpful right now. He's actually reaching through and grabbing onto the rope. Since this is the first time I've tossed this rope on her in quite some time, it's going to take a little bit of time to get the rope position where I need it. So I'm just going to let her settle down with it touching her. And here Stu is trying to be real helpful, and you saw it kind of moved in, touched her leg. And I don't want her getting bound up in the rope, so I just let it go, and she kind of carries it around the round pen until she feels comfortable to stand still again next to Stewie. And right now the ropes are in a pretty good position for me to get them where I need to be, so I'm just gonna loosen up the one around her leg, and hopefully, there you go, she backs up through it, and now I'm right where I want to be. So now I've got one long piece of rope, it's looped around her neck, and I'm gonna start twisting it. And I'm twisting it so she can't duck and get her head through it. And this part can be kind of tricky because you kind of gotta move the rope around so you can get it twisted all the way up to their neck. And she is not super sure about it at this point. And I'm gonna give her a little bit of time to digest what just happened. She was pretty scared of that, and I want her to kind of come back down to a more manageable level. And here she started to calm down. I've begun to just pull straight on the rope. And when she comes towards me, I just release the pressure. She's a pretty willing horse, so she figured this out pretty quick. And after they start coming forward directly to pressure, I'll go and pull off to one side. Good girl. And this is her good side. She likes seeing me out of her right eye. Her left eye is the one that she has trouble with, so you'll see when I go back this way, she gets real nervous and she kind of spins around. And I knew I wasn't going to be able to stop her, so I just let go. Which isn't a big deal in a small pen like this, but you wouldn't want to do it in a large one because they could run around and really get themselves hurt. So I let her rest for a little bit, and then I got the rope situated again, and I went back to doing what we were doing before. But this time I was more aware that she really didn't want me on that left side. So I'm just gonna take it a little bit easy because I really don't want her running off again. I want to build up her confidence so she is not so scared. So I'll start pulling her forward. You saw I gave her some scratches. Just gonna let her stand and relax. There you go. Give her some scratches on that left side, which she's not really into. Go back and give her a few more scratches. You can see she's always repositioning herself, so I am standing in that right eye. I'm gonna readjust my rope, which she got a little spooked by. And this is great for them just to learn how to stand still while you're moving a rope around them. And she's still a little bit nervous, and as I lead her around, you can see I put my elbow up in the air, and that was just to create a barrier so she didn't get too close to me. When they're real scared like this, some of them will have a tendency to try and jump into your arms, which is not something I want. So I'm going to do a few things just to let her know that I don't want her that close to me right now. And she's starting to relax more, so I'm going to move around at a normal pace. There you see she got pretty close to me, and I just stuck my elbow up again. And since she's doing so good, just coming forward. I'm gonna try and get on that other side and see what happens. Whoop, she didn't like it. But since I've been pulling around for a little bit, it was easy for her to stop and face me, and then we can just continue what we're doing. So now I'm trying to get on that left side again, and she really doesn't want me over there. Every time I kind of cross the midline of her face, she turns. There, that's better. She's really liking it, chewing there. So that was really hard for her, even though it was just like half a step across her midline. And I'm just gonna keep going around and around and around until I can get a little bit closer to that left side. There you go, she's getting better at that. She really is moving along nicely. I just pull, and as she gives with her body, I release. This is a short amount of time and she's doing really well, so I'm gonna give her a break. Since she's doing so well and she got pretty fearful when I tossed the rope on her, I'm now gonna start just to relax. I'm not gonna try and teach her anything new. I'm just gonna kind of pull her around and let her check things out. I can tell that she's kind of losing her patience for the session today, so it's a good place to figure out how I'm gonna end. I decided to end this session kind of how we started. I'm just gonna go from side to side and give her some scratches, but with the help of the rope on the left side. I'm gonna start to unwind the rope, getting ready to take it off. This is the perfect opportunity to prepare her for wearing a halter. She hasn't had a halter on yet. So I'm just gonna go up and do the same kind of motion I would if I was getting ready to put a halter on. And since she has the rope around her, if she is too scared to kind of stay with me, I'll just give it a little tug and tell her, no, we're gonna stay here. So I'm just gonna rub the rope a little bit around the top of her ears, give her some scratches on the side of her face. And I'm really just waiting for her to relax, and then as soon as she's pretty calm, that's when I'm gonna go ahead and take the rope off and we'll be done for the day. She's still not super stoked about that side. Give her some more face scratches. And I thought she might let me reach up on the right side and slip the rope over her ears, but the closer I got to the ears, she let me know it was not gonna happen today, which is fine. So I gave her some extra scratches on that side and then went in front of her and started working the rope, which she gave to really nicely. So with this rope, when you're ready to take it off, it's super nice because you can just untwist it and pull it off, unlike a regular lariat rope where you would have to loosen up the rope and then slip it over their ears. And here I'm just finishing up. I'm gonna do a few more scratches and then I'm unwinding the rope right there. And then I'm just gonna run the rope over to one side until one side is shorter up close to her head, and then I just pull it off. And even though the rope is off, I'm not really done for the day. I'm gonna go back and do a few of the things we did at the beginning until she's like pretty calm. I'll just hang out with her for a while. She was actually being super curious afterwards about the rope, so I let her investigate it. She chewed on it for a while.
What are you doing?
She's starting to really relax. When I end a session, I like to make sure the horse is calm and relaxed at the end. It didn't take Scarlett very long, maybe 10 minutes of just hanging out, and she was pretty even keeled.
Girl.
This video ended up being a lot longer than I thought it would be. Probably a total of 60 minutes, but I got it down to like 20. Let me know in the comments if this format is something that you guys are interested in. If not, feel free to leave a suggestion. And that will be the end of day 1 of Scarlett's halter training.